Hi, I'm Suzanne Jackson and I'm here with Lil-Lets to talk to you about becoming a teenager and the changes I experienced growing up. I remember my first crush extremely well. I think you always remember your first crush. So it was a guy called Benny and I stalked him for about a year, so I chased him. He was a year ahead of me in school and all the girls fancied him. He was very charismatic, very charming, very funny. And I remember back then it was just house phones and I used to ring his house phone every day. And I think when his mum started to hear me ringing all the time, I used to get my friends to ring so he'd come to the phone. But yeah, I chased him and then about a year later we got together, so he was my first boyfriend. I think when you're growing up and I think you're in school, I think the best way to know if a guy is into you or fancies you is he'll always make fun of you, put the attention on you, and then as well he could be like, oh, will your friend meet my friend, so you come along and you're there. So I think they go about it in a roundabout way, never direct when you're growing up. Yeah, I remember my first kiss. I think everyone will always remember their first kiss. I was in 6th class and I was extremely nervous. I didn't know what way to put my head or whether to use tongue. It was so new to me. But when we were growing up, the way he did it was like he would shift a few of you. So like you'd queue up. So I was first and then my friend. Is so bad. That's what we did when we were in school. And I remember my first kiss, it was a couple of seconds and it was probably a lot of wet tongue, but yeah, it's a memory. If you fancy somebody and maybe he might fancy your friend, there's always a little bit of awkwardness there with your friend and you're like, why doesn't he fancy me? But I never actually fell out with anyone over a boy, and I think with my friends, we always had such different tastes in guys, and I think your real friends won't go with a boy that you like. So I think your real friends will always stay friends. I suppose with my mum and dad, they're always very kind of open-minded, and because I told them things and I didn't lie about where I was going or what I was doing, they gave me that little bit more independence, that bit more leeway. So I think it's important to really just communicate with your mum and dad and tell them if there's a party or if there's something happening, because then they'll actually allow you to go and you don't have to tell fibs and then you don't lose trust. But you know, growing up in the family household, obviously when you're turning into a woman and you're going through the changes, there's mood swings and arguments, but that's normal and that's bound to happen. You know, you're just going through a phase now where you think the world is against you and your mum is the worst and her advice isn't the best advice. So, you know, the time will pass, but my experience is that your mum is always right. She's only looking out for the best for you. You know, she doesn't want anything to happen. She's just a protective mum, and that's the way mums are supposed to be. So trust her, listen to her and take her advice, and you'll be thankful for it in a couple of years' time.